Hey, I'm Tom.
And I'm John.
And we're the co-founders of Handsome Frank Illustration Agency.
In this series, we'll be sitting down and talking to our illustrators, finding out more about them, their artistic process, and the creative industry we work in.
Welcome to our podcast. All right, we're running.
We're running.
All right.
Well, where are we today, Tom?
We're in Liverpool.
It's very cold.
It's
very cold.
We got on a train this morning from Euston, where it was very wet and cold, and came to Liverpool, where it was very snowy and cold.
Well, I woke up in London yesterday with snow in my garden, which by 11 a.m. had completely disappeared. So I just assumed that was the case for everywhere. So then as soon as the train left London, I was like, oh, there's snow. And then we walked here. It was a blizzard, wasn't it?
I would define it as a blizzard, yeah. I think that was blizzard conditions. But anyway...
Who are we here to see?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we kind of meandered up like a 15-minute walk via a coffee shop and got to this kind of nondescript doorway that led into this really interesting space. And in the corner of it is Luke McConkey's studio.
Hello there.
Afternoon, Luke.
Afternoon. How you guys doing?
Okay.
All right, yeah. Dried off a bit now.
Yeah.
Got to say, this is quite a toasty little space you have here.
Well, I borrowed my mum's fan.
Oh, is your mum at home cold? 'Cause we're here.
I hope not. But it's, I said I needed it. The studio's cold, so she gave it to us. I say it's my mum's. It's my mum and dad's.
Okay.
Give them a shout.
I always like to kind of set the scene visually for the space we're in. Maybe you can talk us through this room.
Yeah, the box, man. There's got a big glass door, but I like natural light, and we haven't got a lot of natural light, so I've kind of got three walls. Shout out to my brother for this like plywood thing that he built, which I've adorned with trinkets, IKEA pegboards.
Oh, nice!
Big
IKEA,
fan.
are they? Yeah,
big fan of them.
I love the hand painted skateboard decks.
Yeah, they're. I've had them for a while. I don't think I've ever shared them. I've never been confident with like hand painted stuff, so I thought, I can just look at them here. I think they've been on shelf for like 6 months.
No, they're really nice.
And for everyone listening, I forget to say at the beginning, if you just take a minute and Google Luke McConkey illustration and have a look at his work, so you can kind of get an idea for what he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're surrounded by sort of some of your work, but also other people's work.
Yes. The big Marco Ogian. I'm so sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. That's actually a poster zine, if you heard of poster zine.
Oh, okay.
So they do like these little sort of issues they get different artists and illustrators and all kinds of folk to do. On the back of that is like loads of text and
okay, so it's a bit
stuff.
like I was reading about Le Une recently, which is the French magazine. It's a fold-out format.
Exactly, same thing there. And then on the back you get a lovely A1 poster.
Really nice.
And they're cheap as well, like £12.
No, that's great.
So you get like the zine and the poster.
Yeah. Lots of books. You've got Keith Haring, Dieter Rams.
You've got to have the inspiration, right?
Christoph Neyman.
The legends.
Yeah.
Good
to see.
I say they're there as inspiration, but I can't remember the last time I opened a book.
Well, I was having this conversation with someone recently, and it's, sometimes books are there just to, I don't know. I'd like to think via osmosis they give you something.
There's like an energy coming from them and you're just getting it, hopefully. But I think that's just like Google's too easy.
It is. Too easy, man. I've looked at my array of cookbooks and then just thought, nah.
I think we've got a mound of cookbooks in ours which some of them need to go. And I don't think they've ever, maybe one or two recipes. I've got like 30 cookbooks. There's a period when my wife Moll wanted to go vegan, so there's lots of vegan things that are just...
Buy the book, job done.
Yeah, exactly.
So John and I were kind of saying on the way up here, like, we don't know each other very well.
Man.
So you're fairly new to our roster.
Yes, yeah.
We've had a great, 6 months?
6 months already?
I don't know.
I think we originally met at Birmingham Design Festival, right?
I was creeping.
Yeah.
I came creeping.
Yeah. Well, we'll get onto that. But it's quite unusual for us to do a podcast with someone we really just don't actually know
Yeah,
and
it's
have
strange,
no sort of long time of working together.
Sure.
So we're actually going to learn at the
Learn
same
a bit
time.
about me.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm very nervous. This is my first podcast,
Okay.
and I'm a serial waffler. So I'm
Well, that's good
That's
for the
good for
format.
podcast.
you know.
well. I'm whoever's editing this. I'm so sorry. I'm probably gonna waffle on.
That's fine.
But yeah, 6 months. It's been wild.
So I think a very good place to start is the story of how we signed you
Sure.
and how we became aware of your
The
work.
origin story.
The origin story, man. Hopefully there'll be a Netflix contract coming through.
Well, it all started with a big box. There was a knock at the door one day.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's when it started for you guys.
Yeah, okay, so take us back a step.
Was Luke in the box?
Can confirm Luke was not in the box. Illustrators,
What's in the
don't
box?
deliver yourselves to Handsome Frank.
Please don't do
Boxes.
that. Well, it started for me kind of like over a year ago, I'd say, from when you guys got the box.
Mm-hmm.
So not a year from now. And I kind of like sort of got into the groove of like, I want representation.
Yeah.
That's the best thing for me. Having, thought about it a lot in terms of...
And how did you come to that decision? Just I'm interested from an illustrator's perspective of what...
Well, it was just a kind of like, I saw it as sort of two options. Like you either contact clients directly, which just seems like a complete minefield of finding contacts, how do you get in touch with them? How will they even notice you? And, when you think of like the big dream clients that illustrators we all want to work with, it's like the chances of me getting the right person, sending the right thing, them noticing, them having a project which would work. As I was kind of looking at it, I was just like, that seems like a job in itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, but people already do that job, illustration agents. And I was like, it made so much sense to me to have someone who could do that work for me, in a sense of like having the contacts and the reputation and the respect that when they lent their name to me, that would give me weight. So I was like, yeah, representation is the way to go for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not for everyone. Some
No,
people
and
don't like
I
it.
always kind of make that point. I don't think it's for everyone. And
Yeah.
I think there were some illustrators that are
Yeah.
really happy not being represented.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I've got in my head that I'm like in my infancy as an illustrator, so I think I need that support, and I've never felt like part of anything of like a community. So that's why I was like, representation is the way to go for me. So it was almost like looking for clients.
Yeah.
I was like, well, who's out there? And like, I knew Handsome Frank. I've known the name for many, many years. But just like investigating and reading up on different agencies, I was kind of setting about of like, I mean, it's weird. It's a weird one. It's like picking. I felt like it was picking the right fit, So it was kind of. I went through loads of different agents, and this isn't to disparage any other illustration agents out there, but it's just when I was sort of researching, I was like, I kept Handsome Frank was the one. I was like, how you guys started and the way you guys work, you kind of ethos and all that sort of stuff was like that aligns with how I want to work. And obviously the client base is, it's probably the top tier. So I was like, well, that's the one. And then it was weird. I was kind of thinking, okay, well, you could sort of spread yourself, put a few eggs in a basket and kind of contact, different agencies and stuff like this. And, I was just like, well, okay, well, maybe there's a monetary value of like, well, if I'm going to send something, because emails, I think,
it's very hard to cut
it's
through.
hard to cut through in an email.
Yeah.
And you've got to appreciate, like, especially agents' time, the amount of emails you guys must get. I can't fathom your email inboxes.
I think last time we checked, we get, I think it's around 600 submissions a month.
So,
It's a lot.
I was right.
Yeah.
So it was just like, email's not going to cut it. Let's send some stuff out. And then I was thinking about it, had a look at what, some other illustrators had done. And there was kind of like, oh, you could send some prints and a bit of info about yourself. And then again, I was just like, okay, you could do that. You could send out some bits to 10 agencies, see how that works. But then again, it was kind of like, but then you're gonna have to chase up each one, keep that going, how you doing, all that kind of stuff. But the back of my mind, it kept coming back, well, I know I want to work with Handsome Frank. Not that if I got signed by anyone else, it would be a bad thing, but I just knew that this was the right place for me.
So what was in the box?
What was in the box? So all the eggs were in one basket. And I was like, right, I'm going all in.
One box.
So, there was some little bits of merch and stuff. I think I put some prints and t-shirts.
Yeah, some t-shirts that are still getting worn around the house.
Excellent. And then the marquee, the headline act was a tufted rug, which said, "Hello, handsome."
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's currently in my home office.
Sure.
It will definitely be coming to the Handsome Frank building. But at the moment, my dog likes to sit on it.
Great, man.
In the sunshine.
I'm an animal lover, so I'm happy with that.
But it's just, I think for me, when I kind of opened that, it just, all the things you've talked about, it was so targeted and it was so obvious to us that you'd gone above and beyond to try and make a statement and make an impact. And it's kind of like that moonshot thing. It's like, and there's clearly so much time and money, presumably, and effort had gone into it, that there was no way we weren't going to reach out to you and have a chat, if nothing else.
Yeah, and that was kind of like, I had loads of chats with my wife about like, what if they just ignore it? What if I'm just not right and all this kind of thing. And she gave me lots of sage advice, and I was just like, well, bare minimum, at least you guys have seen me.
Yeah.
And you're kind of aware of me. If I'm not right, that's fine. But, that's kind of the point I was aiming for.
I think there's a key point in this, though, is that before you had decided to make those sort of promotional items, you'd really considered your work, your portfolio, your style, your technique. And I do feel there's some people that reach out to us that they get so wrapped up in who to get in touch with, how to go about that, what they should send, and they sometimes just forget that actually they need to spend the time first, especially if they're just graduating, to make that work the best that it can be.
Yeah.
Because for with all the best intentions, like if the rug had come through, but the work wasn't there to back it up, then obviously we'd be incredibly flattered.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And that's what I had in my mind, because I think an illustrator's portfolio was constantly in flux anyway. So I was like, well, they could look at my portfolio and say, it's just not there. Come back in a year. And in my head, I was like, well, that's good, because then I've got a target.
Yeah.
But over the past, I feel like I don't think if I consciously thought it, but I felt like, well, I'm at a point where I feel like I've got a style. People had started saying they recognise my style when they saw my work.
Which is a nice moment.
Which is a nice little point where it's like, great, okay, I'm starting to get confident with this style, because I'd flitted through so many different styles in the past.
And how briefly would you describe your style?
Like pop arty, cartoony. I hate the word cartoony.
Okay. It's bold, it's vibrant, it's got striking.
Thick black. I like thick black lines.
Yeah. You like drawing characters.
Yeah.
Scenes, people in different scenes.
Yeah. Like I keep wanting to do like sort of dramatic perspectives of things, but I think I'm influenced a lot by sort of cartoons from like the 90s.
I think the thing that jumps out at me for your portfolio is the positivity.
Yeah, everyone seems to say that.
Just being I think that's what brands love, is being able to convey emotion with illustration.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is like with my style is like fairly minimal. When I do a character, I don't do noses because they're the worst. So being able to bring through positivity, like you say, John, through like the surrounding elements and the colour and composition and that kind of thing, is kind of what I want to go for. Kat actually sent me a lovely email that a potential client...
Is this Kat from Handsome Frank?
Handsome Frank Kat. Yeah. Lord Kat. Did you see that?
No. Lord Kat.
She's a lord.
Self-appointed.
No, she's got a certificate and everything.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I think she's a lord of some field in Scotland. I could be so wrong. So yes, she shall be referred to as Lord Cat Noonan. She sent me like a really nice. Oh no, was it the nice email? Oh, sorry. She said she was talking to a friend about like my work and stuff, and her friend said he draws like he's a nice guy.
That's pretty. That's
and I was just like,
yeah.
bam, that's what I'm shooting for.
line.
I didn't know I was shooting for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
that's a strap line right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, there's a lot of negativity in the world. So if my illustration can bring a bit of positivity.
But so just going back, so once you sent this lovely stuff to us, and so John, we've got a, kind of a work chat going on in email, and John posted the picture of the rug. Is it a rug or a mat?
It's a tufted rug, I think.
It's a tufted rug.
You would class as that.
I was quite jealous, to be honest. I was like, well, it's really nice.
The reply was, "Where's my
rug?"
Years ago, a prospective illustrator sent me, because at the time the registered address was my house, a pair of pants.
Wow.
And I just had this random
pants?
pair of pants. No, just a pair of pants with a message attached to them. What was it, something like?
It was a gold pair of pants, I think.
Wasn't it?
Wow.
It was. I think they'd sent it on Valentine's Day as well. It was very obscure.
And this was a prospective illustrator?
Yes.
Mixed messages.
So no, you'd definitely kind of broken through to us.
Yeah, I mean, it was never meant just for John. It was meant for the Hanson Frank family.
I'll share it.
You'll share it.
There was then this stage. So we met up. We had a coffee.
Yeah, it came down to London.
In Herne Hill. We had a coffee there.
It was very, very windy that day, if I remember. And
we talked about your work.
Yes.
And I kind of said, like, I love your work. There's a few things I think you can do to make it more commercially appealing, which is obviously the field that we work in. And it was things like varying the colour matter, illustrating more of a variety of people.
Yeah.
But what I loved is that you came back, 3 months later?
3 months later, yeah.
And it was just like, right, here's this, like just loads of new work that had addressed all of these things.
That was it, man.
And that was the key point where I was just like, absolutely, let's sign this guy.
Awesome.
Because we do speak to a lot of illustrators and we say, right, we think you should do this, we think you should do that.
You've said that to me in the past.
Yeah, and then they don't do
anything. Yeah. And that seems crazy to me. I was like, if there's ever any sort of pointers or advice you should put into action, it's going to be from you guys.
Well,
I mean,
it
depends. I guess it just depends on what you want to do and where you want your work to live and who you want to work with. But I think we've got a very good grip on what our clients want.
Exactly, and the reason that I wanted an agent is so I could work commercially and do this as a job.
Yeah.
So, for you guys that we took the time, had the chat in London. You gave me all those pointers. I took 1,000 notes. If I was to just sit on that and not do anything, I would be like, well, what was the point of it all?
Yeah.
So I came away from that chat with clear list of get to work, get on it. So I set myself loads of fake briefs.
And then even since we've started working together, I can see that you're still sort of pushing what you're doing, trying new things.
Well, this is I think you said to me, Tom, some people can get hung up on drawing one thing. I think the example was skulls.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you're so right. I draw flowers too much. I felt like I know I draw flowers too much.
Everyone loves flowers, but
everyone loves flowers, but can you base a career off flowers?
It's
maybe.
I think a good metaphor is it really is like that shop window metaphor. It's so if you want to get people to come in the shop, you don't want to just show one product.
Exactly.
You need to show a range of
things.
Good
analogy, yeah. That's it. So it was just I need to keep in my head, I'm okay, I've got flowers now. I can draw flowers now. I need to do something else. And it's kind of building up this asset library of my own illustration style. And because I feel like I'm developing my style, I always like to explore what would a dog look like in my style.
Yeah.
What would a car look like? I don't think I've ever drawn any cars. It's kind of, I want to be developing constantly and just building out that bank.
Because it did because I had a scroll right back through your Instagram. And there used to be quite a lot of texture in your work.
Yeah.
The line has really changed. The line weight has changed.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of was this a slow evolution, or was there a moment where you drew something and you were like, oh no, I've hit upon something here?
I think I'm been a victim of like the social media beast.
Yeah.
Because we get exposed to like so many amazing pieces of work, so many different styles. For years, I kind of was like, there's a vintage style, I want to do that. So I'll try that, get frustrated that I wasn't good at that, and then jump onto something else. So I kind of like went through stages of this, and then I don't know, I kind of like Keith Haring's my favourite artist.
Yeah, it was Keith Haring's book up here on the wall.
There is a Keith Haring book. Horribly sun damaged, which I'm very upset about. He's the thick line king, and I was like, I really like thick lines. They can hide a myriad of sins, but also like the contrast they can offer and stuff like this. And being like a 90s kid with like cartoons and video games, like it kind of tied in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of started doing this thick line stuff. I think it started in like icon, like geometric icon kind of style, which I kind of liked. And then, you know, from there, it's just sort of translated. Not translated, evolved into this kind of like goofy bubble gum world style. And it was, I don't know. I mean, over the past couple of months or maybe a year, I've been like, I have hit upon a style that I like. And a lot of it has come from like ability. Like I'm quite an impatient illustrator, and when I was trying all these other styles, like, you know, like Tobias's work, which has got so much like detail and texture and stuff like that, if I wasn't seeing results fairly quickly, I'd get like jittery. I'm like, oh, this is crap, this is no good.
Okay.
So then the style kind of like lended itself to being able to produce
so you
something.
need that kind of quick gratification of like, it's the image is forming quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it's just a sketch, if I can kind of see it in the first couple of hours, then I'm like, oh, good.
Because that's quite interesting how something so sort of emotive has steered your style.
Yeah. I mean...
And in terms of technique, I mean, I can see an iPad Pro.
You can, yes.
Were you a Wacom guy before that? Or?
I think the only Wacom I had was like a little A4 number. And I never really got into it. I was sketching a lot. Just on paper. I was a big fan of field notes.
Yeah.
But they're not very good for sketching because they're like yay big. So I was like hand drawing and then taking photos and then scanning them, you know, all that kind of stuff. And also, I don't think I'm a particularly good like hand drawer, because it's just something that like I've been drawing all my life, but I think it's because I've not stuck with one style. I've never gotten good at anything.
Okay.
So I can sketch out like an idea rough, but then like when I sort of tried the iPad, I tried Procreate for a while. It was just great, and then having the kind of, I love an undo key.
Yeah.
like that feature when you're sketching something out is amazing. So that kind of like really hit home. I was like, okay, I can do that because I can sketch something out, and if I mess it up, I don't have to start again. Yeah, I can just like go back a few steps.
So you still use Procreate now?
I have actually moved to Adobe Fresco.
Okay.
I don't know why. I mean, it's probably they're probably pretty similar apps.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the developers who've made them, who will probably have a million reasons why they're not. But yeah, on Adobe Fresco. I mean, to be honest, I only used one pencil brush because I just use it for sketching. I'd love to. Like, I really have an intention to streamline my workflow to like sketch and then vectorize on the iPad. That would be great. But I'm just like a creature of habit, so I'll sketch on the iPad, and because it's Adobe, it like syncs up with all my files on the computer. Yeah. So straight into Illustrator, and then
nice and easy.
Start.
And what's because you were saying this is the best thing you've ever bought? This.
It's just dead handy, man.
Yeah. Like, so what was it called?
So the iPad's in this Sketchpad Pro, which is like a stand, so it's like got some legs, but it's got a little handle on top.
Nice.
So you can just like.
We'll post a picture with. We'll
post a picture.
Yeah, but it's really cool.
So do you colour it in Adobe Fresco as well?
No, because like my style tends to be block colour.
Yeah. So you do the line work.
I'll do the line work, and then the line work is more just so I can see it.
Yeah.
I think the actual and like getting the composition right and the characters and whatever, getting that right in the sketch. and I'll kind of get to a point where I'm like, it's kind of there, and then I can do more stuff in Illustrator.
Yeah. So then you're on the laptop.
And then we'll start to vectorize everything, and then a lot of times I'll be vectorizing and stuff will change.
And is that vectorizing process just using, was it Live Trace?
No. So I'll essentially draw over it again.
Oh, wow.
With like a mixture of tools on Illustrator.
Okay.
And then and that's like where the kind of flexibility comes in, because I can change bits. If I've sketched something out, and when I actually come to Illustrator, I'm like, oh, it doesn't work there. I can kind of redo.
Well, it's good that you got both skill sets as well. There's some illustrators who they draw by hand, and vectors is just not something they do.
I mean, that terrifies me. It's like the commitment to a piece. Like if you do an illustration by hand, and like you get to so far, and then I don't know, something just goes wrong, or you realise you've not kind of nailed the brief or something, and then it's like literally back to square one. Or even if you send it to a client, and the client's like, and you're like, shit, man, that just
which happens all the time.
Well, I can imagine it does, and that's like, I'm like, oh, if a client came back and was like,
well, you need to like, it doesn't matter how hand rendered your style looks, there needs to be an element of digitalization, because you need to be able to react to feedback.
For sure. And and when like obviously when you've got a piece and it can just sit there nicely, it's when it has to get used for whatever the brief is, whatever the product is. If it's just digital stuff, that's great, but I guess if it's going to be on a can or a box or something, I guess you've got to kind of digitize that.
So when I remember, one of the things that struck me when we first met you and started chatting was, and I think maybe this is, well, obviously we're in Liverpool today, and you grew up here?
Well, so I'm from Crosby, which is North Liverpool. Now live just off Penny Lane.
Okay,
South Liverpool.
But it struck me that a lot of your clients are in Liverpool, which I think a lot of illustrators find their client bases all over the world, to be honest, because it's such it's such an easy industry to work in kind of internationally, because you can be anywhere, you can work with any client. But I think there's something about this city that it kind of invests in its own. And have you found that? Have you found that local brands want to work with a local artist?
I think so. Like I mean, I said before, I've never really felt part of a community, but I think generally businesses across the board in Liverpool will all try and like, someone will always know someone. Yeah. And it's always this kind of like referral. There's like a phrase like Liverpool is a village. There's like, the 6 degrees of separation. Yeah. I'm sure you could do that with like anyone in the city.
Probably less than 6.
Probably less than 6, yeah. But it's that kind of thing. I feel like it's just that kind of, maybe it comes from like a working class mentality of like, oh, I know a guy you can do that. Yeah. And there's a lot of independent businesses in the city, which is amazing. So I think that even more so, like when you're opening a bar or a shop or something.
Because you've done quite a few. You've like branded a.
So the biggest one was Burger Stall in the Baltic Market, which is like as you're heading south of the city. It's from there was the old Kane's Brewery, which was like, I can't remember, they went bust or something, and then the whole brewery was just unused. Yeah. And then the Baltic Triangle went through a resurgence like 10, 15 years ago, and it's now like the creative hub. And then off the back of that, these guys got the brewery, and they've like kind of turned it into like a food market and stuff. Yeah. And it was there so they made this food market and had loads of vendors come in, hugely successful, and it was their first venture into an actual store.
Okay, so you did their branding, and you're kind of the feel of it.
I think that was just like a message on Instagram. Yeah. I think they'd just seen, so it's called Richie's, and they'd seen one of my Instagram posts, and I think it was a self-portrait of me in my style with like a beer and a hot dog.
Yeah, oh, perfect. Yeah.
And they were like, we just want that, but change the hot dog for a burger.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it at the time, but it was like, it's a self-portrait, man.
But
it's me.
It's me.
It goes back to that thing that we picked up on, is that your work conveys a lot of emotion and character.
Well, I don't know if that's by intention or it's just like it's just a symptom of it. A symptom, is that the right word?
Byproduct.
Byproduct.
Symptom makes it sound like a virus.
Yeah. Well, we are all sick, aren't we? Yeah, like I like that sense of emotion that comes through. I mean, obviously, it's very positive. Although the skateboard there is like a mixed bag of like negative.
But even that, I mean, we're looking at a skateboard with a raised middle finger, but there's something about that image that just, it's a friendly middle finger.
Yeah, it's a friendly. Yeah. Like I think my whole thing is not to take it too seriously. Like, I mean, we all know life's pretty tough, and there's a lot of bad things in the world. So just trying to enjoy it, and like the way I enjoy it is creating visual pieces of artwork that I try and keep positive. And like I've always said the thing, if I can bring joy to someone, if someone can look at one of my illustrations and like a little chuckle or whatever, then I'm like sold. I wish I was witty. I wish I had like, you get a lot of it, like the book of Christoph Niemann. He's so intelligent with his illustrations and he's so witty and comical. Like I wish I could do that, but I'm just not. I'm just not funny.
I think the other thing that's very striking in your portfolio of work is how you've mocked up your illustrations on various products, packaging. What you got? Beer cans. What else? You got crisp packets.
I think I did some Halloween sweeties. Last year.
That's right.
So I think that comes from my graphic design background.
Yeah.
So
but they're really well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What was so we talked about this recently. So we Handsome Frank set a brief recently for the London College of Communication, and we asked the students to sort of do a branding related project, but also to mock up their work.
Yeah.
What was the website?
So there's a website called Yellow Images.
Yes.
A fantastic resource.
It's amazing.
It's mental how much good stuff's on there. I mean, you got to pay for it. Yeah. Which is fine.
But it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. And just like some of I think they've got everything. I think you can literally put anything in the search bar and you can get it. I think like that comes from my graphic design background, where when you're producing like a branding deck or pitch deck for a client, like designing like a logo is great, but then showing it in context is better.
And that's the thing, is that when you've got art directors who are looking to commission an illustrator and they look at your work and let's say they're I don't know, looking at something that's going to go on a can or a packet, when they can see that.
Yeah.
Straight away, it's like, oh, right, I can really see how that works.
That's it. And it's just all about that context, isn't it? And like, presenting it well and clearly, that's just like come from being that design background. And it's always like, I mean, I still get like a little giddy flutter when you kind of making the mock-up and then you see it, you're like, oh, it looks good. Like, it looks great on the can or whatever.
And so do you miss working as a graphic designer? Were you still doing it?
I personally still do little bits every now and then. But I personally felt like I'd kind of run my course of what I could offer to graphic design and branding, creating new brands, which is what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be this big, Aaron Draplin, logo master and branding guy. And then I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like I oversaturized myself with all the other branding work that goes on around the world, and I was just like, I don't feel like I've got any original ideas.
Okay.
And I feel like that was kind of where it got. But when I was like freelance graphic designer in 2017, and then when I was sort of working with clients on branding and logos and all that kind of stuff, I'd always try and squeeze a little bit of illustration in.
Yeah.
And I found like the more and more I was doing the illustration work, that was the time when I was having the most fun. So I was like being a graphic designer, designing a logo, whatever. But then if there was the illustration part of it, like those days when it came to the illustration, I would sit down at 9 a.m, or like, whatever. And then I'd look up and all of a sudden it's 5:30.
I think how quickly time moves when you're working is a great indicator of how much you're enjoying what you're doing.
Exactly, yeah. And that's kind of like the realization that I had was like, I proper enjoy illustration. I love it. Like, I wish I could do more of it. And then slowly it just became like,
And that as that's become a full-time job, has that faded at all, or do you still have that sort of?
I still have a bit of it. Got to pay the bills,
Yeah, of course.
you know. But it's not something that I'm driving. Like I've been turning down a fair few graphic design requests because I just want to focus on illustration
Yeah.
so much more. So like, I mean, the past sort of 3 months have been a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously, we've got to.
Yeah. So since you've come on board with us, talk us. Yeah. Open that.
Sorry.
No, that's
There you go.
Can I have one? I'd
Yeah,
just
all
like
right.
like to point out, Luke has provided 6 cans of Coca-Cola, 6 cans of Pepsi Max, Heineken, and
Doritos.
Yeah, and Doritos. This is great.
A bit of northern hospitality, guys.
Thank you very much.
I mean-
a long way.
You did. You earned it. I mean, this is the thing. I've never done a podcast before. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, look, from now on, just Handsome Frank illustrators. This is expected level. This is the bare minimum, I think. The rider.
I like it. Yeah. Maybe you should start putting requests in. We're coming up, you know, because you guys have been some mad places recently, like Amsterdam and.
Yeah, we went to Amsterdam recently to talk with Leonie.
Yeah. I listened to her.
Norwich.
podcast the other day.
Norwich.
Norwich.
We've been to.
Oi, oi.
We'll go anywhere.
The irony, it was quicker to get to Liverpool than it was to Norwich.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it just that bad?
Well, no, Norwich is great. Let's not.
Sorry, not Norwich. The
We're getting
The train line.
the train line. Anyway, yeah, let's not get sidelined.
So, what projects we've worked on
So what have we
Since
done
signing
together
it.
since?
that we're allowed to talk about?
I think we're allowed to talk about all
I think we're allowed to talk about all of them, yeah, because most of them are out, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all out. I mean, we can go talk through the big one first, which was for the LA Times, which was, oh man, it was so surreal. So, like, I think signed with you guys in November? Time?
Yeah, sounds about right, yeah.
And then I think we did 2 jobs for Virgin Atlantic and Ocado.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is great. Handsome Frank's off to a great start. Like some really nice editorial jobs, really nice briefs and all that kind of thing. And then out of nowhere, I just had this email from a design director from the LA Times saying they want like a full issue illustrating.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit of a joke at first. I was like, who's this? What? So then, yeah, I was just kind of like, got Kat involved. I was like, can you verify this? Is this real? And it felt like a clear step up. And it was like that sort of indication of like, I've made the right choice. Like I would never have got a piece of work like this.
And you mean step up in terms of like the profile or the amount of work or
Both.
Yeah.
Like I think every aspect was just like, right, I am definitely on the road to being a proper illustrator.
That's really nice. It's a nice, and also if I'm right, the subject matter of the article was all about starting the new year with
Positivity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
positivity, which obviously we talked about as a big theme in your work.
That was it, and they themed. So the LA Times have a weekend edition.
Yeah,
I think it goes in the
it's
actual.
a really nice
thing.
format as well, isn't
Really
it?
Yeah, it's
big
very
long
kind of
format.
Long portrait.
I was meant to have it up on the wall. Unashamedly, I'm getting it framed because
Ah,
why not?
Absolutely.
but it's
Yeah.
kind of
Is it Berliner? It's called, isn't it? That
That-
long, tall.
oh, I don't
Format.
know.
Could well be.
I'm not. a print
So they do like that weekend issue, and it was going to be the New Year one, and the whole thing was like starting the year positively. I think it was the year of adventure.
Yeah, that's right. Year of Adventure.
So they got in touch with me because they liked my positive style. And then they had 10 articles at the time, and it was like each article covers different subject matter. I think it was like, you know, places to go in Southern California in January, you know, non-alcoholic drinks that you can kind of sort of start your dry January on. And then I sort of came up with the idea of like, what if it was focused around this one character called Joy? And she's
so that was your idea.
that was my
Oh,
idea.
lovely.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Which the guys liked at LA Times. They were like, yeah, that's cool. And because it kind of lent itself well to it being a cover with the articles. So it was like one character and then she's experience and all this.
Just
stuff.
so if you Google Luke McConkey LA Times, there's a blog post on our website, so you
Yeah.
can see all these illustrations there.
And it was a pretty funky time because I got the email on the like 2nd of December, and our son was due to be born on the 7th.
Nice.
So there was this very weird juxtaposition of like, I can't take a job like this on now.
Yeah.
But then I spoke to Mal, my wife, and she was like, of course you can't turn down the LA Times. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like we had a chat, and of course it was like, yeah, I'm going to do
So
it.
when did baby arrive?
He was, she's going to kill me if I get this wrong.
You've got to get his birthday right.
He was born on the 13th, so there's that 2 weeks.
Yeah,
He was 2 weeks
approximately.
overdue.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I should have just gone off his birthday.
Oh, so it's fine.
2 weeks
yeah.
late.
2 weeks late.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Come on,
Thank you.
Dad.
So it was just this weird time of like, got the biggest project of my life,
Yeah.
biggest event of my life of my son being born, and because it was late in the year, it was like Christmas was coming up.
Yeah. Triple header.
Triple header, yeah. But I mean, it was the good thing about it, which was a testament to like Kat and everything putting in the work, is like clear deadlines and structure, and we all kind of knew what was what. So I was able to like start working on it. I think the joy of it being editorial is like we can kind of pick an idea fairly quickly and run with it.
Well, that's the good thing about editorial. You know, you are working to a print deadline.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it does. You know, there isn't time to mess around
To
too
be
much.
super picky, which
Yeah.
probably worked in my favour.
Which is great because it gives you creative freedom. You know.
Absolutely, and like that was the thing. So they came up with the idea for Joy. They liked it, and also a learning curve for me was how the articles were still being written.
Yes.
They had themes, and they were like, you know, here's all the themes of the article. Here's some snippets. Some of them aren't written yet, so you've kind of got to go off a title. So like started sketching out ideas. The benefit of them being in LA is the time difference.
Yeah.
Because I was able to do work, send it off, you know, bit of a gap before hearing back, and then
Yeah, you wake up in the morning with the feedback.
with the feedback, exactly, which is great. So yeah, just started sketching ideas, and then ended up sketching in the hospital when Alice was born. Well, I mean, it was not because I was, you know, trying to like
You bored?
be bored. We were sat in the hospital, and you're waiting to be
Yeah.
discharged, you know. And I was like, there was like this little table. I was like,
that's
I'm
pretty
gonna.
cool. Yeah.
I think there's a photo of me holding Alice and sketching out. But it was great, and it was really nice working with. It was really surreal when I'd sent like a sketch, and Faith, who's at the LA Times, was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get the editors of the LA Times to look over it." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you telling me?"
No, that's nice.
And like, really, luckily, it went fairly smoothly.
Mm.
You know, it was a good way of working. They had like this spreadsheet.
Did they know that your baby was?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
told them, and like they were really accommodating for it. But I guess it was kind of like, well, you're saying yes to the job, mate.
Yeah,
kind of
but I
thing.
do think, and especially since COVID, clients are far more understanding around, you know, the fact that life just gets
Life
in the way
gets
sometimes.
Yeah, there's definitely been I mean, I think, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, if your kid walked in the room on a video call, it was a bit of a
Oh my
moment.
god, what have you done?
But now it's just like everyone waves. Everyone's like, oh, who's this?
Who's hello? Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. It's
You
probably
know.
a good thing.
I think it's a really nice shift. I think everyone's realised that, you
Yeah.
know, there needs to be
I
that.
think, and I mean, I said it before about not taking everything so seriously.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of that. Of just like, it doesn't matter. Does it matter if someone walks in the background?
Yeah, we're not all trying to maintain this charade anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, which is really good. But it was funny, like, so like when we were in the meat of it. So Alice had been born, and I'm like in the meat of sketches and approvals and all that kind of stuff. We're obviously getting a lot of visitors in the house.
Yeah.
You're
You're learning how to change nappies.
learning how to change nappies up late at night.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to help Marl as much as I can. But like I mean, I laugh about it now. At the time, I was very, very stressed about it. Was like people would come to the house, and you'd be like, "Luke, so and so's here." I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna work."
Yeah, trying to work.
Yeah.
Go downstairs, and then it was like the same, because we had to tell the people the same story of how he was born,
Of course, yeah.
like over and over again, and like they just got to a point where I was like, I've heard this story,
Yeah.
I lived it, and I've heard it a million times. I'm so sorry, I've got to work.
It's such a. No, I would found like having 3 kids every time, but especially the first one. Such an outpouring of like, I don't know, just positivity from everyone and love.
Everyone's so lovely, like, but it's overwhelming. I think I got a bit of anxiety. Like, I was just like, a barrage of like
Yeah.
this positive stuff. Everyone was bringing food round and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? And then you're obviously trying to deal with this little baby.
Yeah, what a strange couple of weeks.
Really weird couple of weeks. And then it was kind of like, did all the work and it was over. Like, everything was approved, outputted everything ready for print, sent it across, and then it was like,
yeah, and it looked fantastic.
I was really chuffed. I was like,
You received a printed copy, right?
I've received the print copy.
Yeah, because that's just that great moment when you finally get it.
The biggest thing was like right at the bottom in like tiny print. It says Luke McConkey for the Times.
Yeah,
I was like,
really nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And it was like surreal. Like I'm really happy how it turned out, because when I think back to that period, I felt like it was a bit of like swimming in my own head. I'm like, I can't believe I turned out this work.
Yeah.
Possibly like I feel like it's my best work so far. And was just chuffed with it. And then it was dead weird because I just heard nothing. It felt like months, but I think it was like 2 weeks. And then I think I just went on the LA Times website. And then
There you are. Yeah.
like,
I feel like maybe if you're gonna try, if that was your best work that was delivered under that pressure, maybe you're gonna have to have more children
Oh man, no.
to be able to
Not
trumpet.
yet.
Maybe it was that pressure.
Maybe it was the pressure, yeah. I mean, it could be, right? Like, who
Yeah,
knows?
well, you know.
Whether you could sustain working at that level of intensity, maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wild time.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is, well, I don't know if you'd call it a side. I don't really like side hustle.
No,
Not really like that
yeah,
expression.
no.
But you have another hat that you wear,
Yes.
which is you run a music label.
Yeah, we run a record label, Luminance Records.
Yeah.
That was kind of, so my friend Ali, who I share the studio with, and Craig's also part of it, sort of, we were like chatting. It was like you know that freaky bit in between lockdowns where you're allowed the pub and stuff, so everyone just went out.
You're allowed out, but there's rules.
Got dead pissed though, and and then I think we were in that mindset of like, we should just do it. We should just do stuff. So we were like chatting, like we should start a record label, and we started with like this really dreamy idea of like helping young musicians, and it's going to be so creative. We're going to put out all this music. Ali's a musician, and I was like, you're the music side. Me and Craig are going to be the visual side, and we're going to do music videos and album covers and all this kind of stuff. And then we realized pretty quickly that it is work. Like there's a lot of stuff beyond that creativity that you've kind of got to do. But, you know, we've got... How many bands have we got now? I should know that off the top of my head. I think we've got, like, 7 bands.
So, and all Liverpool bands?
Yeah, everyone from Liverpool.
So, again, it's this local
thing.
Yeah.
And, like, so we started... Like, we're not a money label. Like, we haven't got any money. We've not made any money, as my accountant told us. But, you know, it's a labour of love. We're all three of us are like mega music fans. Ali's obviously a full-time musician, so that's his life. And he's got so much experience. He's had record deals in the past. So it was kind of like, we're still working out where we sit. And at the minute, it's kind of like, well, if we can sign bands and help them out and sort of get a release out, and then, you know, if another label comes along and says, we want to sign you and we've got money, we'll gladly give that little leg up. But it's like, it can be stressful, but it's really good.
I mean, it's worth pointing out that Handsome Frank was a side hustle. Hate that term.
That started in the pub.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't all the great ideas.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's just that thing. Why not give these things a go?
Well, that was it. And there was like kind of, I don't know if I'm getting old, as I'm getting older, you know, we've put a little bit of money into it. Not, you wouldn't say a great deal, but I think used to be fairly, like really conscious of money and like money. You need to earn money. But as I'm old, I'm like, well, you can make money. Like if you spend it, it's no big thing. As long as you're not being reckless. So yeah, why not do it? Like if you've got to put a bit of money in it and it all gets lost, that's fine. At least you can say you've tried it.
Yeah.
And Ali actually said something really nice, like when we were starting, if we can be a little footnote in the music history of Liverpool,
Yeah,
that's great because it's such a rich history.
of course. Yeah.
So if we can just be there and have, supported some bands, then great. Like, that's great. That's what we want to do. We just want to help people out.
And is there like, in terms of like the musicality of the bands you're signing, is there like a constant theme running through it, or is it quite eclectic?
I reckon if you got into the meat of it, you'd say it's quite eclectic. But I think maybe on the face of it, you'd be like, there's similarities between each band. But we want it, like, we're not going to be a genre specific label or anything.
Yeah.
We want to kind of be open to anything. So, at the minute we've got like a few singer-songwriters. We've got like psych garage. I mean, I could be butchering the genres. I'm very confused with music genres at this point in time.
I don't know if they exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Spotify seems to
Well,
think
according,
they do.
what your
Chamber
number
pop.
one- Chamber pop is Tom's favourite according to Spotify and Rap.
What's that?
Chamber pop.
What is chamber pop?
I mean, I'm guessing it's what I listen to. That's what's
Okay.
the annual rap thing. But
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
never
yeah.
ever.
Well,
I've never got home and thought I really need to listen to some chamber pop right now.
Yeah, I need some chamber pop in my life. Do you want to turn the heater off? Is it hot?
No, good.
Right.
No, good.
I think the beer's making me flush. Yeah, well, my Spotify Wrapped was indie game soundtrack.
Oh, really? Okay, right.
I love
Niche.
Very
Yeah.
quite niche. And that's not, I'm not trying to be like,
Are we?
divvy about
I
it.
presume there's live music most days of the week in this city.
You'd probably find.
So can we go and find some niche band to?
Well, there's a place I want to take you to
Ah.
with some live jazz.
Oh, no. Sounds good.
It's nice. Cocktails, cheese
Yeah.
boards.
I mean, it's only 3 o'clock, but... No, it's 2 o'clock. But
That-
I'm
you
all
know,
they can be in the
time
evening.
zone.
Well, I think the band starts at 8 o'clock.
fine.
But,
We're fine. But and also, you were saying that this studio space has doubled up as a kind of micro recording studio.
And the kimchi.
And a kimchi, yeah. Paul, our landlord, makes kimchi. Does really well with it, I think. Sells it on. Like, who knew?
It's all going off here.
Is it a
isn't
university over the road?
I think it's a college.
Okay.
it's Liverpool College.
I saw people that I would identify straight away as students. Yeah.
It's weird as you get older, they become
I
so
know.
clear, don't they?
Really
And I don't
bad.
know what the animosity towards them is.
There's no animosity. I mean,
Well,
they were,
well,
they were
well-
smoking, and I thought,
No. No, I don't have animosity towards them. It's students on scooters. Have you guys got scooters in London?
Well,
Where
the e-scooters have hit
E-scooters.
where I am big time, yeah.
they hit Liverpool like a friggin' meteor, and it's so annoying because, well, at first it was just like loads of piss people at night. You're like trying to drive through town, and
Yeah.
they're just like,
like an electric scooter.
Electric scooters, yeah.
They're quick.
quick, really quick.
Yeah, too quick.
So then, like, quickly, like, they had to like put legitimate driving bans in place. So if you got caught drink driving,
Yeah.
it was.
Oh, yeah, you get points, don't you?
You get points now, yeah. But it was just
Well, to unlock like the Lime bike, it says, "Have you been drinking?" And you have to, like,
Obviously,
man.
I'm on a line bike.
and the no button moves around. No, like it's a genuine issue for those.
But it's so
companies.
dangerous. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just becoming a cranky old man. I'm
I
like,
think
it's
I was
so
literally
dangerous, man.
just about to say this podcast is suddenly turning into
just a
things-
gripe. No one's got a
things that-
helmet. It's awful.
yeah.
Welcome to middle-aged men, right?
That's it. But how do we get onto scooters? Students.
Students, yeah.
I mean, it's a real big student.
yeah, so this
city.
the neighbourhood you're in, I don't think
So where I'm just off Penny Lane,
Yeah.
which is like residential. It's just like terraced houses.
Yeah.
But there's like dotted round student houses.
Yeah.
So like landlords will like buy a house, turn it into like
Oh, yeah.
somehow turn it into like 30 bedrooms or something stupid
Yeah.
like that. And then so there's like where we live, there's a road called Smithdown Road, which is like heavily student. There's lots of offshoots of student houses, and there's like a pub called the Brook House, which is like the student. I mean,
okay.
the
You're not going to complain about the bins, are you?
no, I don't
No.
mind the bins. Like the bins around here, they're fine.
Okay, that's good.
I won't complain about the bins. But yeah, there's like big student contingent around where we are, and there's like pubs. Like we're very fortunate where we live. There's like so many pubs and restaurants and stuff. It's great.
No, it's such a good city.
It's great. It's really lucky. But like the one downside of the student thing is that we recently, like, loads of old buildings have been knocked down for like these horrific student
For the
accommodation.
accommodation, yeah.
So sad. Like, yeah, I don't want to turn into this. Great, we're just griping now. I'm sorry.
Look, I think it's time we wrap up.
Yeah.
Go out, maybe find that jazz bar.
Yeah, let's find a jazz bar, man.
But Luke, thank you so much for inviting us up.
Thank you so much
thank
for
you for
having
the
me, guys.
rider. I mean,
Oh well, I'm sorry to anyone in future if I've set the bar too high. I'm sorry.
no, it's been great.
Amazing. Thanks,
Speak
guys.
soon. See you.
And if you'd like to know more about Handsome Frank and our artists, check out our website, handsomefrank.com.
Thanks very much for listening.
Handsome Frank.
There you go.
6 cans of Coca-Cola, 6 cans of Pepsi Max, Heineken.
And Doritos.